Friends, and welcome back. It's great to have you here on the Rush Limbaugh program and the Excellence in Broadcasting Network. Telephone number if you want to be on the program, 800-282-2882. The email address, lrushbaugh@eibnet.com. I mentioned at the top of the program, ladies and gentlemen, that I am the subject of the first 6 audio sound bites on the roster today, and I'm going to get to them. I moved them till to the final hour here, but it's much like the other sound bites that are out there today, demanding of Trump that he exonerate Obama against the charge that he's a Muslim. By the way, what's so bad about being a Muslim anyway? Why do you need to be exonerated from it? Because he's not one, Mr. Limbaugh. That's why. Thank you, Mr. Castrati. But I'm saying, why is it such an insult? I mean, if somebody mistakenly called somebody Jewish instead of Christian, it's not going to cause a state incident. You know, I'm sorry, you're not Jewish, I'm Christian. Oh, it's like, but you call somebody a Muslim and... You better retract that, man. You better pull that back right now. You better go out and set that person. Why? What's so bad about it? It's kind of like, what's so wrong with being accused of being gay? What's so bad about it? I thought it was hip. And then, like Ben Carson, I don't think we should have a Muslim as president. So Republicans are being asked left and right, what did you think about Ben Carson? Are you willing to condemn Ben Carson? Are you willing to condemn Donald Trump? Are you willing to condemn Donald Trump's supporters? And in fact, grab audio soundbite number 26. This is this afternoon, a White House press briefing with the press secretary, Josh Earnest, and a reporter said this to the press secretary. Said, today a Muslim NGO called for Dr. Carson to withdraw from the race because of his anti-Muslim stand. He says that he does not believe that a Muslim should be president. What's the White House reaction to that?
Dr. Carson, in many of the polls, ranks second or third. So at least in the last few months, he's been quite successful in elevating his status in the Republican Party. And we've seen a willingness on the part of many of those candidates to countenance offensive views, all in pursuit of political support. And in the case of the Republican primary, in the pursuit of votes. And I think what's particularly disappointing to many observers, including me, is that we haven't seen a significant outcry from all of the other candidates in the Republican race.
See, this is how they do it. Did you notice the first thing he said in this answer? He puts up to here, well, a willingness on the part of many of those candidates to countenance offensive views. And, you know, this, I can't tell you how this ticks me off. This presumption that nothing the left ever says is offensive. Nothing they ever say is controversial. That's just normal. It's free-flowing. Everything's kind and decent and tolerant and all that. And these are some of the most intolerant bigots among us, people on the left. But here we talk about the intolerant. What? There's nothing intolerant about what Ben Carson said. It was simply an opinion. And I know where it's rooted. It's rooted in Sharia law. Sharia law runs counter to the U.S. Constitution. It just does. It's not even arguable. If you know what it is, you can't have Sharia and the U.S. Constitution side by side at the same time. If you do, something's going to have to give. If you have Sharia side by side with the Constitution, what are you going to do about women being able to drive or other rights that women have won, like voting? What are you going to do? So anyway, that's how the White House is dealing with it. We just don't like these offensive views. It's particularly disappointing to many observers, including me, as we haven't seen a significant outcry from all the other candidates. This is how they do it. A Republican stands up, says something not politically correct. It then becomes incumbent on every other Republican to denounce the guilty party. And this is the one-way street, this false premise, these narratives here that the left creates that I'm telling you, Republicans ought to have nothing to do with. Just nuke and just ignore these narratives out of the box. Back to Il Papa for just a second. Cuban authorities, this is from the UK Telegraph, Cuban authorities prevented leading dissidents from meeting Pope Francis in Havana on Sunday in a sign of the communist regime's rigid intolerance of political opposition. Two well-known dissidents had been invited by the Vatican to attend a Vespers service led by the Pope in Havana's historic Baroque cathedral. But they said they were detained by security agents and barred from attending the event. The head of an opposition group called the Ladies in White said that 22 of the 24 members of the group who had hoped to attend a mass celebrated by the Pope were prevented from doing so by Cuban officials. Yeah, except the Cuban officials, yeah, they're the cool guys today. They're the cool guys this week. Oh, yeah, Cuba and the Pope, man. Way to go, dude. This is really cool. Getting together here against the evil Satan United States. And right here, may I remind you, I'm holding in my formerly nicotine-stained fingers Bloomberg Politics. Headline, in Francis, Obama finds an ally to amplify his agenda to the public. Meaning Obama is going to try to feed off the popularity of the Pope to advance his own agenda, which means the Pope's agenda is Obama's. What is Obama's agenda? I want to go back to what I said. If Obama had promised everything he's doing, if he had said this is what he wants to accomplish, he would have never been elected. He would have never been elected touting amnesty. He would have never been elected touting Obamacare with the specific details. The website wasn't going to work. We'd have to put up with it for a while. That your premiums are going to go up $2,500. That your deductible was going to go up maybe 3 times. If he had run for office promising this, do you think he'd have been reelected? No, he wouldn't have been elected first, originally, even on the amnesty question. The point is, none of what we have here did anybody really vote on. They voted on the man, but we didn't know what his agenda was. He wasn't honest with us about it. This is why I say we have a government operating against the will of the American people. You know it's bad when a former KGB agent starts ripping America for being godless. Did you hear about this? This is in Breitbart. Russian President Vladimir Putin condemned the West, including the United States, for eschewing Christian values and opting instead for a path to degradation. In his State of the Nation speech last month, Putin asserted that, quote, many Euro-Atlantic countries have moved away from their roots, including Christian values. Policies are being pursued that place on the same level a multi-child family and a same-sex partnership, a faith in God and a belief in Satan. Close quote. Russia has adopted new laws that ban homosexual propaganda and criminalizes the insulting of religious sensibilities. I'm telling you, this is a 180. You can Vladimir put a KGB ripping the U.S. and other Western countries for abandoning God and Christian values? Who's saying this story from last year? Oh, is that right? I don't have a date. Let me... well, who cares if it's from last year? It hadn't gotten any better, has it? What does it matter whether it's... Let me click on the link here in just a second. The date did not publish on this thing. I'm not surprised if it's from last year. These websites pull all kinds of tricks to make their old stuff look new. They recycle links. That's another thing. Don't even get me started on that. and you have little helpers like I have that don't pay attention to detail, all kinds of mistakes can appear to be my fault when they're not. Well, do you think America has become less godless since Putin, if this is a year old? Have we turned closer to Christian values in the past year? Well, okay then. So what difference does a date make? I know people just want me to be right. They just don't want me making error. People love me. I understand this. I respect that and appreciate. No, you don't care about the accuracy rating. You care about your friends coming up to you. What's Rush doing with year-old stuff? That's what you care about. No, you can't fool me. Anyway, to the audio sound bites. I know this was yesterday. This is not last year. This is yesterday. This is this week. George Stephanopoulos interviewing Senator Marco Rubio. It's audio soundbite number 1.
Rush Limbaugh even suggested he's a Marxist. Do you agree with that criticism?
I'm a Roman Catholic. For me, the Pope is a successor of Peter. He's the spiritual head of the church who has authority to speak on matters, doctrinal matters, and theological matters. And I follow him 100% on those issues. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a Roman Catholic. The Pope, as an individual, an important figure in the world, also has political opinions. And those, of course, we are free to disagree with.
Well, how would you interpret that answer? Seriously, what are you laughing at in there? I think what Rubio is saying is it doesn't matter to me what Rush Limbaugh says. I'm a Roman Catholic. I don't care what are you trying to gotcha me for? And the answer, the truth is in the last couple of lines. The Pope, as an individual, an important figure in the world, also has political opinions above and beyond theological. And those, of course, we are free to disagree with. Well, so the senator has given himself an out. But see what they want. I guess yesterday, in Stephanopoulos' mind, I was not an entertainer. Yesterday, I'm the titular head of the Republican Party's nominating process. The titular head of the party. And so yesterday, it was time to condemn me. And it also was the same thing over on CNN's reliable sources. They had Paul Vallely on there as a guest, the author of the biography, Pope Francis, The Struggle for the Soul of Catholicism. And during a discussion about the Pope's trip to Cuba and the United States, Brian Stelter and Vallely had this exchange.
Why is it so important, you think, for the Rush Limbaughs of the world to try to paint this Pope as a liberal radical?
Previous popes have been critical of capitalism. They were also critical of communism, but of course communism is not in the picture anymore. He's also a Latin American, and he has the kind of ambivalence towards the United States of resentment and admiration that you find in Latin America. There's a ferocity to his rhetoric which wasn't there with previous popes, and I think that's what's rattled the cage of the conservatives.
It's not a ferocity. His rhetoric isn't ferocious. He's the Pope, for crying out loud. Why is it so important, you think, for the Rush Limbaughs? There's only one, folks, by the way. There's only one. There are no Rush Limbaughs. There's just one. Why is it so important, you think, for the Rush Limbaughs of the world to try to paint this Pope as a liberal radical? I'm not trying to paint him as anything. He is what he is. I'm not painting anything here. I'm reacting to what the guy says. And by the way, Did you know that communism is not in the picture anymore? The Chi-Coms would be happy to hear that. Did you know that communism is not in the picture? Oh, the only thing Putin's trying to do is put it back together. The Norks are communists, damn straight they are. Putin has said, Rubio was right about this in the debate. Putin said that one of the greatest natural political disasters in the history of the world was when the Soviet Union went belly up. And he's trying to reassemble it, and not as a capitalist country. He's going to have his oligarchs and him, and then the serfs. But communism, this, by the way, this is becoming a new theme out there, that communism is dead. And it's being uttered by people on the left. Oh, yeah, communism. Tell that to the Castros, for crying out loud. Tell them communism's dead. Communism is not dead. Marxism, communism, Stalinism, liberalism, whatever it is, the left is alive and well and corrupting everything they can get their hands on. Here's David Axelrod. This on CNN's Smerconish. Smerconish, it's Smerconish, right? Not Smerconish? I don't want to pronounce Smerconish, okay. He says to Axelrod, 54% of those who are supportive of Trump also believe erroneously that the president is a Muslim. He's not going to lose their support, but I guess you're saying there's just no growth potential if that's what your supporters think of you?
There is this cohort out there who believe that, we are being encroached on by aliens, the illegal aliens, Muslims, China, and Trump has tapped into that constituency. It's no accident that Sarah Palin was one of the first people to stand up and defend him after he attacked Senator McCain for his war record, and Rush Limbaugh came to his defense. That's his constituency. It's not a majority of the Republican Party. It's certainly not a majority of the country, but it is an activist group, and some of them may stick with him.
You know what? I think these guys have a problem. People like Axelrod, they're not adjusting their worldview to the new reality. They're the ones stuck in the past. Axelrod fluffing these guys. They're running the last two campaigns over again. They're rerunning the last two campaigns thinking that we're still Obamaites and everybody still loves and adores Obama and what have you. Trump is his own phenomenon, and the country's not in the same place it was 2008, 2012. Can we agree on that? Whatever Trump's role is or not, the country is not where it was in 2008 and 2012. Positively or negative, however you interpret that, we're not where we were in 2008, certainly, and not 2012. But these guys comment and analyze as though we still are. We're still in the land of love for Obama. They're still in the land of respect and total adoration and adulation for Obama. And we are long since past that. Oops, clock. I just noticed. I have to take the stop here. And just one more. This is Jeffrey Lord, which was he was on CNN Saturday morning, newsroom. The fill-in anchor is Jim Sciutto. And Sciutto says, can you fairly paint the whole faith with a big brush, meaning Muslim and Ben Carson's award, because of what a tiny percentage of members of that faith do? That's what the questioner was doing, Jeffrey.
I just find this exasperating. I mean, in general, I just think this the kind of media. Rush Limbaugh has a word for this kind of thing. He calls the media the drive-bys. And the reason he does that is he says they come into an area, they shoot up the whole place, in a media firestorm, then they move on to the next one. That's really what this is. This is a typical drive-by situation.
Exactly right. So Ben Carson says what he says, and his supporter of Trump stands up and says what he says, and we've got a 4-day media firestorm. Drive-by media. Driving in, shooting the place up, making it total chaos, screwing everything up, trying to damage this and damage that when nothing of the kind is warranted. And then they'll be on down the road tomorrow doing the same thing on another issue. But how about this question? Can you fairly paint the whole faith with a brush because of what a tiny percentage of members? It seems to me that we're trying to impugn the entire South because of a flag, Confederate flag. Dylan Root, aren't we trying to portray an entire culture as being a bunch of murderous racists because what one of them does? How many other incidents like that are there? That we have one lone wolf actor, some extremist wacko, and they immediately try to say that's all of conservatism or that's the whole Tea Party or what have you. And then here comes this Sciutto guy. Why do we want to, paint with this big brush because what a tiny percentage of members of that faith do? Tiny percentage members of the faith. Look at what they're doing. They're crying out loud. Flying into buildings, ISIS, beheading this is it's willing suspension of disbelief. But you let something happen to a group they have it in for rather than one they're trying to protect, such as got to get rid of the Confederate flag. Look at what it says about the whole South. Nothing about a small percentage of its members, Dylan Root. Nothing about him being a lone wolf. No. Dylan Roofy stands for everybody in the South. It's the kind of thing that they try to imply to everybody. This is incredible what I just saw. You know what I just saw? I just saw it on Fox. I read a little crawl at the bottom of the screen that said Obama is going to ask the Pope to help them with the release of 4 American prisoners being held in Iran. Are you kidding me? We could have gotten those 4 prisoners out with a negotiation on the Iran nuke deal. Except we couldn't. You know why? Because Obama and John Kerry said, no. If we would have mixed those 2 things, the Iranians might have taken their ball and gone home on nukes. Really? We'll let them. No, we had to do a deal with them, Rush. Why do we have to do a deal with them? Well, because the truth is, Rush, they're going to have a nuke in a month, and we got them to delay it some years. That's right. Oh, is that it? So we had no bargaining power whatsoever. Here we are in total control. We have $150 billion of theirs frozen. They want it. They want to spread terrorism all over the world. They want to build up their nuclear arsenal. We're holding $150 billion, and we can't secure the release of 4 Americans. We don't have enough leverage. Now we have to ask the Pope to do it. As usual, that is so ridiculous that that's not true. That's not what this is. Asking the Pope for help. You know what that is? Promoting joint solidarity between Obama and the Pope. Showing them on the same page, showing them working together. This is all about Obama using the Pope to further his own agenda, and probably vice versa. Although I don't know what the Pope's attitude about Obama is. But I do believe the Bloomberg story that Obama is going to use the Pope to help advance his own agenda. But man, that is just incredible. Ask the Pope for help. Now, what will the Ayatollah Khamenei do? And by the way, the Ayatollah Khamenei is still out there chanting death to America. And he's doubled down on it, by the way. Wonder what the Ayatollah, if the Pope does it, I wonder if the Pope will do it, and if so, what the Ayatollahs will do in response. Do you think the Ayatollahs have any respect for or care about the Pope? That's right. He's an infidel like the rest of us. Anyhow, I have another question, a quick question before we get back to the phones. It's this. And I'm serious. When will President Obama apologize to the Christians of the Middle East for doing next to nothing to end their genocide by Muslim terrorists, i.e. ISIS? I mean, 2 can play this game. You know, when's Ben Carson going to renounce? When is Trump going to renounce his supporter? When are we going to have Republicans denouncing all this? When are we going to get apologies? When's Obama going to apologize to the Christians of the Middle East for doing next to nothing in the face of their genocide by Muslim terrorists? He's not doing anything. He has the power to do something. And he's not doing anything. When's he going to apologize? Oh, you think that sounds a bit off the... Why is that outrageous to say? Why is that somehow insensitive to say when it's okay to start demanding or asking of Republicans every other day, when are you going to apologize for X? You ever notice that Democrats are never asked? This whole thing is just nothing but a constantly everyday played trick. Another phony and false narrative. Here's Alan in a truck near Gary, Indiana. Alan, I'm glad you waited. Great to have you on the EIB network. Hello.
Hey, Rush. Thank you.
You bet.
Long time, first time. Say, Pope Francis appreciates the economics of what we have here, capitalism in the United States and the freedoms that it affords us. He's asking our people to develop more purposeful, more virtuous kinds of capitalism, one that supports family, one that supports our free culture, with religious freedom and all that's entailed with all those. He's not asking our government to do anything other than support those free capitalistic measures. Humanism, on the other hand, which I believe is what our president is, he's humanistic in his approach to everything. Population control is a vital cog in that. A lot of things that we have embedded in our economic system are virtually consuming us. It's predatoristic in some aspects. It's diverted. It's centered on preying upon our worst aspects.
Give me an example of what you're talking. What do you mean? An example of something that's preteristic.
Pornography, abortion, things of that nature. I guess right now I'm kind of nervous. So I'm drawing a blank on everything I'm thinking right now. But
well, no, I understand. Sometimes people say, "What are your top 3 favorite movies?" And I can't think of but one. You get put on the spot. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I'm just trying to get an example of what you're talking about: pornography and abortion. You're humanism here.
Yeah.
But you say the Pope wants a kinder, gentler capitalism.
Well, he wants the people to develop these things, and he would prefer if the government would help protect them instead of, the big guy always wins. The big guy always wins in our country, and small corporations, small businesses tend to be stepped on and trampled over and just put aside, and a lot of them fail. And it's not necessarily because they can't compete generally like local economies, but when they're up against larger companies that simply, they can purchase more stuff at.
Right. So the Pope is actually defending small business against predatory tactics of big corporations.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and he's defending our system of government as the best means to.
Well, how do you explain the Pope's criticism of air conditioning?
Of what?
How do you explain the Pope's criticism of air conditioning?
Well, I would have to see exactly what the Pope said on that. There are many. A lot of Catholicism is being interpreted through humanism, and the interpretations they may take the exact words, but if you say them in a different way, and you understand that, Rush, if you see them in a different way, they have a different meaning.
Yeah, I do it all the time. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to. There's a Yale University. No, that's what Carly figured. I'm trying to find. There's 2 different sources I hear on the Pope is condemned air conditioning. He did it shortly after becoming Pope. And he condemns it in the sense that it contributes to environmental degradation. It's not natural. Anyway, I appreciate your call, Alan. I know you waited a long time, and I appreciate your patience. I've got to run because I'm up against it on time here. But best of luck to you. We'll take a brief time out and be back right after this. Don't go. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is from National Review Online. It's a piece written by Shubhankar Chokra. Pope Francis's aversion to air conditioning may be red hot, but he himself is comfortably cool. In his encyclical Laudato Si, published today. This goes back, by the way, this is June 18th. And we talked about this encyclical. This encyclical is where the attack on capitalism took place, and so is where the Marxism comment came from. Anyway, in his encyclical published today, June 18th, the Pope lambastes wasteful consumerism and unchecked human economic activity as a root of climate change, singling out one product in particular for censure, the air conditioner. Here's what's written in the encyclical. A simple example of harmful habits of consumption is the increasing use and power of air conditioning, Francis writes. The markets, which immediately benefit from sales, stimulate ever greater demand. An outsider looking at our world would be amazed at such behavior, which at times appears self-destructive. And then Schobanker goes on to wonder whether or not Francis wrote this in his air-conditioned papal apartment. 2 years ago, Francis broke with tradition when he became the first pope since 1903 to forego the papal apartments for newer, more modest accommodations in an adjacent building erected in 1996 to house cardinals during papal conclaves. In line with his image as the people's pope, a Vatican spokesman said the pope wanted a more simple living arrangement. Simple, yes, but it is air-conditioned. Well, if it has to be. Anyway, the air conditioning is an example of the modernity that the Pope says is devastating nature and causing us to behave and live in unnatural ways. Because there was no air conditioning at the time of creation, I guess. If it's unnatural, what does it mean? We're artificially affecting temperatures in our domiciles. But note the first complaint, a simple example of harmful habits of consumption is the increasing use and power of air conditioning. The markets, which immediately benefit from sales, stimulate ever greater demands. As people see it, they want it. Not good. So there, I'm not making up this stuff. Well, he's not the only one. I mean, there's a whole bunch of environmentalists out there who decry toilet paper. We say this and people think that we're just either making it up or using extreme examples, and we're not. This is all mainstream belief in the environmentalist wacko community. Air conditioning, they look at that uses incredible amounts of fossil fuels. That's bad. Not everybody has it. It artificially alters temperatures. It causes some people to have allergies and they catch the summer cold because it goes on and on and on, the reasoning for it. But mainly because it improves capitalism. It shows capitalism in a good light is why it's condemned. Right there it is. It increases market sales. It increases demand. People want it. Consumerism is not good. People wanting things isn't good. Thank you so much for being with us today, folks. It's a great kickoff to a busy, brand new week of broadcast excellence. Yes, sirree, Bob. And we'll be back before you know it. 21 short hours, revved and ready, back here. Whatever happens between now. No, we didn't get to the Emmys today because I didn't watch it. So I don't know. I know Trump got insulted. What's new?